What's up, everybody? Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Shaun King. Friend of the show and ex-NFL player, bro. It is awesome to see you a third time, bro. It's been a third time you've been on my show, man. How's it going?
I can't complain, man. We haven't talked since that heartbreak in Las Vegas with your 49ers, but man, good to be on here again.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of Brock Purdy, man, why do you think they're still writing this kid down, man?
Well, because people don't want to admit they're wrong. If you big up Brock Purdy, then you have to admit that you didn't see any potential or value in him coming out of college, i.e., why he lasted to the seventh round. So, it's easy to throw shade and say it's because of the supporting cast, his success. But at the end of the day, he doesn't get enough credit. He's very, very accurate throwing the football. He has great anticipation, and he's a much better athlete than people give him credit for. And he's gained a lot of experience real early in his career. So it'll be interesting how far can he take the Niners? Can he actually get back and win one?
Seems like that's the trajectory because the previous year he went to the conference championship against the Eagles, got injured and lost that game, and then went to the Super Bowl this year, came up short. But can that be the repeat of him getting his redemption on what happened the previous game? We shall see.
Well, I think redemption for him is this deal he's about to sign.
Oh man, that's gonna be too much money. But yeah, I mean, you played this position for many years, bro. So you would know the difference. But come on, Brock has proven time and time again he's looking like the real deal.
Yeah, and I think the thing that really makes him successful is he knows his own weaknesses. He doesn't have a big arm, so he doesn't try and make big arm throws. He knows he has to anticipate routes, get rid of the ball early, have a very high football IQ and be able to be successful that way. So, I like him. I like the kid a lot. And he doesn't make a lot of mistakes because he doesn't really try and get outside of his skill set.
Oh yeah, for sure. He kind of plays it smart at times. Even when he throws a couple picks, he still tries to play it smart either way. So let's discuss the draft talk, man. I mean, the NFL draft's coming up in a week, and I know there's some sleepers coming in. There's some players, but what do you think your Buccaneers or any other team you played in the past years? Who do you think you guys are looking at?
Well, let me say this. I think it's an extremely, extremely talented NFL draft. I think a couple years ago, I'm thinking of the Kenny Pickett first round draft. That draft wasn't loaded with elite personnel. Last year, a lot of people were high on the quarterbacks. They ended up being right. I still haven't given up on Bryce Young. I think once that organization gets a little more on settled footing and stability's there, you'll see his talent starting to increase. With C.J. Stroud performed well, Rookie of the Year. Anthony Richardson performed well before the injury. Even Will Levis, who ended up, I think, going first in the second round, if I'm not mistaken. When he got to play late in the year, he showed some really good flashes. So I like the fact that this draft is deep. I think there are about 6 or 7 day one starting offensive tackles in this class. I think the wide receiver group is as deep as I've seen in the last 20 years. There are a couple guys who can really get to the quarterback. And, of course, the quarterbacks themselves, could potentially go 1, 2, 3, 4 if somebody's willing to trade over Arizona for that 4th pick. So it's a lot of excitement surrounding this draft. I can't wait.
Yeah, same here. It's pretty interesting draft class, but there is some quarterback sleepers out there. There's even this guy in your college that played at Tulane, Michael Pratt. I'm hearing his name come around. Like, what do you think of him, man?
Well, a talented player, really successful in college, really good athlete, a little inconsistent at times throwing the ball. But he's a kid where I think if he plays his cards right, he could end up being a 10-year NFL player. Get to the right spot, do the right things. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but we had a guy that went to Tulane who just went into coaching. I think he's the quarterback coach in Chicago now. And I forgive myself. I can't remember his name. But he played about 10, 11 years. Never really was a starter, but just kept getting the bag. And trust me, guys, that's the key. Get the bag.
Get the bag.
All the rest of that stuff, man, look, the game going to end at some point. I'd rather be an average player and walk away with a big bag than be a really good player. Well, that's what really matters. But I think Pratt, he's in a group. They're not going to be in that first group of guys, but I think guys like Michael Pratt, Spencer Rattler comes to mind. Those are some guys that might be mid-round draft picks that have a chance, I think, outperform where they actually are going to be drafted.
Yeah, I think Rattler's going to start moving up a little bit, even though he's going to be a mid round or something. But like the guy has there's no denying his talent when he was playing at Oklahoma for a short while, and then he went to South Carolina. I don't think the talent was the issue. I think it was just playing at a high level, and he just couldn't do it at Oklahoma. But he showed a little bit at South Carolina.
I think he matured. If you go back and you look at the reality show they had when he was in high school, and they were following the top high school quarterbacks around, I think it's one of those situations. He's the number one player. He's going to be 3 and done, number one pick in the draft. I think a little entitlement creeped in at Oklahoma. And he had this young, really, really good guy come in the year after him named Caleb Williams. So he was nipping at his heels the whole time. I think you saw a much more mature version of Spencer at South Carolina. If he gets to the right spot, he's got a chance because he can throw the football around.
Yeah, he could, for sure. Speaking of Caleb Williams, man, this is just too much hype on this kid, man. Like this number one status draft. The Bears pretty much made the obvious trade, so it kind of gives us the idea that he's going to the Bears.
What's interesting, this is a real test case for me because CG, this is the first true Gen Z type quarterback that has a pink phone, paints his fingernails, kind of has a laissez-faire kind of attitude. And I'm not saying anything's right or wrong.
Guess he's got reception issues. Yeah, I think he's frozen.
If guy of his
Guess he's frozen. Something to do with the reception. Oh. Okay, let's get him back in. All right. Reception issue.
You want to go back live?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so as I was saying, like Caleb's really the first Gen Z, at the quarterback position that's talented enough to be considered, this high of a draft pick. We've never seen a quarterback that paints his fingernails, has a pink phone, kind of has that eccentric personality like that, kind of has maybe more of a laid back demeanor personality than most of the guys that have come through, who kind of tend to seem to be more like wound a different way, I guess I could say. And I'm not saying anything's right or wrong with it. It's just interesting because it does, you're very, very fascinating. How is he going to handle certain things, that happen at the NFL level that he's kind of been insulated from? The one thing about USC, it used to be a big brand, but it's not really a big brand in football now. Meaning when they fail, the national media doesn't really care.
It used to be a big deal when they
used to be a big deal. Could you imagine the Pete Carroll USC teams?
They mattered.
Right. So, I mean, now he's going to, and I say that to say this, the Chicago Blackhawks aren't very good. Chicago Bulls did win the play-in game, so they're giving the city some hope. At the end of the day, Chicago's starving for a winner. Yeah, and unlike Justin Fields, the organization has gone and done everything in its power to put the right pieces around Caleb. They traded for Keenan Allen. They traded for DJ Moore the year before. They brought in DeAndre Swift at running back. They solidified the interior offensive line. So the expectations are going to be through the roof right off the bat. Like Chicago's going to expect Caleb and this offense to look a lot like Jordan Love and the Packers did last year. Like the up and coming, like ready to be a playoff team right off the bat. So how is he going to handle adversity, failure, criticism, in a bubble that Chicago's going to be. It's going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah, it is because he's got the talent. The talent's going to be there. This is like what you just said. It could be just like the Packers with Jordan Love. So this could be interesting because can he be the real deal or can he just be one of those first round kind of guys that just doesn't live up to the expectation? That's going to
And,
be
and
the
the and the difference, CJ, is CG. I mean, I'm sorry, is Jordan got to sit for multiple years
yeah he did.
and watch Aaron Rodgers kind of go through success, be an MVP. Also, watch Aaron Rodgers have to go through major criticism. Watch and learn what kind of leadership um, styles worked with Aaron, what didn't work. He got to talk to some of the players about what they liked about how Aaron led and what they didn't like. Caleb is going from insulated USC to being the focal point of everything.
Yeah, Jordan Love benefited by learning like for a couple years, just like how Aaron Rodgers was doing the same with Brett Favre. So you see that, but
And the
Caleb's
number one, the number one comp for Caleb is Patrick Mahomes.
that's the
But
comparison I keep hearing a lot, just like that.
but people forget that Patrick Mahomes got to sit behind Alex Smith year one.
Yep, he
He
did.
wasn't thrown into the fire first practice day one. Caleb's gonna be the man from as soon as he gets off the plane in Chicago. So we'll see. It's gonna be interesting to watch. I know he's talented. We're gonna see if it works.
Yeah, we'll definitely see if that works. I mean, there's just another group of good quarterbacks. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of buzz with Jaden Daniels. Like, he seems to have a really good talent. Like, very athletic. Just needs to work on those mechanics a little bit better, from my understanding.
I have Jaden Daniels as the number one quarterback in this class. I think he's that good. I think he's a great combination of athlete and pure passer. I think he has the right demeanor. The skill set is elite. I think he's going to be a tremendous addition to wherever he goes. I have Caleb number two. I have Michael Penix number three. I have recruited and known Michael Penix since he was a freshman in high school. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete. I mean, watching that kid play basketball, you're like, hey, he could have gave up football and went and played that. I didn't come away as impressed with Drake May's film as I did some of the other guys. But I mean, so my rankings are Jaden, Caleb, Penix, McCarthy, Drake May 5.
Interesting. Like, when I look at Jay McCarthy, he just seems to just be asked to just not mess it up or nothing like that. But maybe he wasn't asked to throw the ball as much, because I see Michigan was like a good running team. They had some solid receivers, but I think the defense picked up the slack a little bit.
Well, I got the good fortune of coaching JJ down at IMG. So I got to see him in practice, and I mean, he can really spin it. He's a really good athlete, high football IQ, high character guy. He's like one of those football junkies. He's going to be fine. If he ends up at Minnesota, I may even put a JJ McCarthy Rookie of the Year ticket in. Because I think if you put him in that offense, with Jefferson and Adelson and an elite tight end, I think he'd have a chance to be really darn good really fast.
Oh, yeah. Even with that type of talent, he should have room to be successful at that spot. I mean, so Michael Penix, this guy, he could have easily been the number one ranked quarterback in this draft, but it's just been the injuries that's been knocking him out. But he's kind of shown that at Washington that he can be the guy.
Absolutely, and I'll never forget this. Me and Charlie Strong, we're walking out of an in-home visit. Michael Penix's senior year of high school. And there's a group of coaches in a car waiting to go in the house. And it was the Indiana coaching staff. And Kalen DeBoer was the offensive coordinator at Indiana at the time. So all of Penix's injuries happened at Indiana. Then when Kalen got the Washington job, he brought Penix to Washington, and he was healthy those 2 years. I know some teams, may not be as comfortable having a left-handed quarterback. Some training staffs may not be comfortable with the 2 knee injuries, the shoulder. Some people may not be comfortable with his age, but I'm telling you, Michael Penix is a baller. And whoever gets him, they're getting an NFL caliber starting quarterback.
Yeah. Like, it seems like he has the talent. Like you just said, he's a lefty quarterback, which we've seen some good lefty quarterbacks in past years.
Yeah, we have. Life is so much about time, and it's funny because of the class that he's in. I mean, he's kind of maybe an afterthought with some people. Think if he'd have came out Zach Wilson's year. I mean, he'd have went number 2 behind Trevor.
He could have. I mean, that's how talented that class could have been if they would have had him on. But yeah. But going into this draft, there's just a lot of mystery with these picks. So you don't know what to expect out of it. Like the offensive line for sure is like a very deep class. Like I think D tackle is at least pretty solid.
I don't think they have the high end depth that the offensive tackle does. I mean, Murphy from Texas is a dog. Jazon Newton, another kid from St. Pete. I've known him and his family. I'm so happy for them for years. I mean, he's a dude, a kid from Illinois. But I do think there's kind of a drop off interior wise from those two. Whereas I think I think Alt is by far the top guy. But that next group of 5 for Shano, the kid from Washington, Mills from Georgia, the kid from Oregon State, Latham from Alabama, like all those guys are going to be day one starters in the National Football League, and all of them have Pro Bowl level talent.
Yeah, and the rest of them, like you just said, like the other ones in the bottom, like you got Rosengarten and Guyton and quite a few other guys who probably would be more of a developmental at this point.
Yeah. So it's a deep tackle draft. We'll see. It's going to be some interesting decisions, because if the quarterbacks do go 1, 2, 3, it's some really good players now that are getting pushed down a little further in the draft. And I think there's going to be a lot of trades on draft day, but I don't think all of them are going to surround the quarterback position.
No, it might just come down to a wide receiver or possibly an offensive lineman because, that's just how teams do it. Yeah, like you said, it could be that quarterback if they were to draft and move up to that spot.
So what are your Niners going to do?
I have no idea, man. Like I think this is the tricky part. Are we going to go O-line or are we going to go D-line? I think we're going D-line for some reason.
So what are they doing with Ayuk?
I'm hearing reports that they're working out something with him, but then there's a lot of these trade talks, so I'm not really like sure. Like even the agent just shut down all those reports.
I would not be surprised if we see a trade between now or on draft day of Brandon Ayuk to another team, because there's a kid in this draft named Xavier Legette from South Carolina. He's a bigger, faster version of Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, he's like, what is it, 6'3", 230 or something?
Yeah. And it's just, I guess it's a South Carolina thing. They just recruit those kind of wide receivers. It started with Sterling Sharp, and then it was Deebo Samuel, and now it's Xavier Legette. And it's all transitioned extremely well. Same body type, same kind of playing style. And I think Legette's the most explosive of all three. So I think it could be an opportunity for San Francisco to move Ayuk, maybe pick up another second rounder or something, and use that to draft one of these great wide receivers in this class that's going to come at a very discounted number.
Yeah, I mean, you got Malachi Corley, who kind of fits the mold of another Deebo Samuel. And then you got I think Jalen McMillan's like another guy that runs good routes and he fits what Shanahan wants. Then you got those other kind of receivers. But I think Legette is just a specimen kind of receiver. Like everybody keeps saying he's like another DK Metcalf or an AJ Brown all in one. Like his production from this season speaks for itself.
And he's much more twitchy than AJ or DK. He's not quite as big as DK, but he's much more twitchy. Like, I mean, start, stop, and all those kind of things. And he's as fast, if not faster than both. I'm a big fan of Legette. Yeah. I'll say this. My number one wide receiver is Brian Thomas, by the way, from LSU. I love Neighbors. I love Harrison. But to me, Neighbors and Thomas are like Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. I really think those two guys are that good.
Yeah. LSU's got some deep receivers this year. I mean, like you said, Neighbors, he's definitely – but Thomas, he's kind of like under the radar, kind of surprising people because of his production. But, yeah, the LSU, like Jaden Daniels had some damn good receivers. And then even the tight end. Even the tight end will probably be in a couple years. But
here's what's crazy. We never knew who Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas were until Jaden Daniels got there.
Yeah. That's the crazy part.
So they elevated each other.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it have a good proven track record. LSU has always produced some damn good receivers. So it's
very true.
Ohio State, don't get me wrong, they do got some good receivers, but I've always seen the LSU's always been the more proven commodity. I mean, that's my 2 cents. I would think between like Marvin Harrison, he seems like a generational talent because of because he comes from the same bloodline as his dad and stuff. But I don't know. Like,
I
what do you
think
think?
Marvin's I think Marvin's really good. I don't think he has the same top end speed as some of the other guys. I think that's why he didn't run the 40. So his comp to me is Larry Fitzgerald.
Which
I
is not a
think he's
bad
go- yeah, which was first ballot Hall of Famer. So this is one of those arguments. Like if we're talking Michael Jordan, Kobe, and LeBron, like I don't have to criticize Kobe and LeBron to say that I think Jordan's the best. So it's kind of that same situation. Like I think Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Marvin Harrison, Xavier Legette, Troy Franklin, Adonai Mitchell. Like I think this is a loaded wide receiver
very
group. The
low.
only one that I think that's kind of overrated is Xavier Worthy because a
Xavier-
lot of his, to me, movement has been his 40 time that he ran at the combine. But when you turn the tape on, he doesn't play that fast. So he's
Yeah.
probably the only one that people are talking about could be a first rounder that I think's overrated.
So what do you think? Like, I mean, I guess everybody's hyping him because of his 40 time, but what do you think of Lad McConkey? Do you think he's really good or you think he's overhyped?
I think he's going to be a Cooper Cup type player. He's very knowledgeable. It's not just because they're both white, but like skill set wise, they kind of are the same guy. Like great route runner, great football IQ, understands how to get open, tremendous hands. But physically, he doesn't stack up to that top group as far as, how fast can he run, how high can he jump, what he looks like in person. Well, he's going to get somewhere and play for a long time.
Okay, that's reasonable because we've seen how Cooper Cup has turned out pretty well, but McConkey just
MVP of the league, offensive MVP.
yeah, and the difference with McConkey, he runs a 4.3 speed, so he's a little quicker than Cup.
He
So he
doesn't play that fast. He might run that on the combine. He doesn't play that fast.
but he kind of has good separation on the routes a little bit for
He
some.
does. A great route runner. Tremendous route runner. He did battle some injuries this year. It'll be interesting how does that kind of play into it a little bit. But I think he's going to be an outstanding pro.
Oh, for sure. But hey, man, I think we covered about 20 minutes of your time. I know you got some stuff to do, bro, and I definitely appreciate your time. We'll definitely catch up sometime on your free time, bro. Hey, I do like what you do with Coach JB and the rest of those dudes.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I try and keep JB in line.
I do like that shit, bro. It's cool.
All right, we'll get back together after the draft and kind of go over what the Niners did and what we think about it. Cool?
Yeah, we can do that, bro, for sure, man.
All right,
Much.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have a good one, bro.